Hi friends, this is Dr. Prafulla Dikshit and I'm back again with yet another video series on a very interesting and research applicable topic called odds ratios. Now I find this topic or this concept of odds ratios very interesting because it lets me calculate or evaluate my chances of success versus my chances of failure in anything I do. So let's talk about odds ratios. But can you really talk about odds ratios without first knowing what are odds? And let me tell you, we can't talk about odds without actually first knowing what are probabilities. So, what are odds? In most simple terms, odds are nothing but the chances of success of an event versus the chances of failure of an event. Now, these chances of success or failure we are talking about are in fact the probabilities. So we'll come back to the concept of odds versus probabilities in a short while to get a better understanding of things. But let's start with briefly introducing odds ratios to get a feel of the concept. Also, let me tell you, in this video series, as in this video and the subsequent videos of the series, we'll try and cover the following. So, apart from the brief introduction that I've already provided, I'll give you certain introductory examples of odds ratios to give you a better conceptual idea or conceptual feel of the concept of odds ratios. Then we'll talk about the background and the associated concepts to lay a firm foundation for the understanding of odds ratios. Further, we'll develop a definition of odds ratios based on our discussion and the understanding of the concept. Then we'll talk about a very important associated concept of odds ratios, which is called relative risk. And we'll compare the two concepts in terms of their definition, formula, and applications. Then we'll talk about the research applications of odds ratios. Further, we'll get to know how to interpret odds ratios in terms of the research results. Finally, we'll give an introduction to the statistical applications of odds ratios, especially the concept of logistic regression, which is a widely applicable area of odds ratios. So let's begin with odds ratios. So when we talk about odds ratios, we are really talking about the odds of the success of an event. Success of an event given an exposure versus the odds of its success in the absence of the exposure. Or, in a retrospective sense, we are talking about what are the odds that an exposure may have occurred given an event versus the odds of exposure in a non-event. Now that may seem a bit tricky, but don't worry, things will become clearer as we move ahead. The most important thing to note, however, is that the calculation of odds ratio varies. Now, what does it depend on? It depends on, first of all, how we look at the problem. Second of all, it depends upon how we set up the study and how we collect the data. So in order to explain how this works in a simple manner and to give you a feel of how this exactly goes about, let me briefly introduce you to a couple of examples. And the first example right here is that of Mr. Blue, the shot putter. If you might remember from one of our previous videos on p-values. So let me just fetch the video for you, and okay, and yeah, here it is. So as you remember, this is Mr. Blue who was trying to qualify for a shot putting event, And uh, if you might remember, he was supposed to, you know, cross the red line, at least, you know, a majority of the trials, in order to qualify for the event. Now, that was the criteria for qualification, but Mr. Blue, he has a coach, and the coach is advising him to follow a particular diet if he indeed wants to qualify for the event, apart from his routine practice and exercise schedule. So now the problem is that Mr. Blue does not like the diet, and there is a possibility that he might not actually follow the diet as advised by his coach. Now that becomes a problem. But while this is a problem, this may give rise to two scenarios. Now, what are the two scenarios? So here's the scenario. In brief, once again, is Mr. Blue, who's advised by his coach to follow a specific diet schedule. Now, Mr. Blue, he doesn't like the diet, and this gives rise to two scenarios. The first scenario would be he takes the diet, and the second scenario would be he does not take the diet. Okay, now the question emerges. This question: the question is, what are the odds of Mr. Blue qualifying for the event given he takes the diet versus his odds of qualifying the event if he does not take the diet? Now, this right here is a very important question indeed. And what is so important about this question? So here we have the odds, right? We have the odds. Okay. Okay, let me just highlight this for you. I think yeah. So what are the odds of Mr. Blue qualifying for the event? We have the event, okay, and we have a scenario. We have in fact two scenarios. One scenario is if he takes the diet, okay, and versus we have another odds. So this is odds number one, this is odds number two, the odds of qualifying the event. This is again the odds of qualifying the events. This is odds number two if he does not take the diet. Okay, so you see a pattern emerging here. So there are two sets of odds differentiated by the condition. Now what is the condition? The condition is whether he takes the diet or he does not take the diet. So the scenario is synonymous to condition. The scenarios are based on a condition of his taking the diet versus his not taking the diet, and these two scenarios, or these two sets of conditions, or the two values of the condition variable, give rise to two sets of odds, and we compare the two odds. So we compare the first odd of his qualifying for the event versus his second type of odd of qualifying the event. Both are actually his odds of qualifying the event, but both are different in the sense whether he takes the diet or whether he does not take the diet. So let's take another example from one of our previous videos on COVID. Um, that video was also on p-values, and let me also fetch that particular video for you. Let's do it. Okay. Yeah, here we are. So this was a village which was fighting the COVID pandemic, and the local health administration had advised for a social distancing protocol, and they were supposed to follow the protocol. And the health administration was convinced that if the village adequately and completely follows the protocol, the village would be corona free, right? And however, there was a problem. The problem was that some of the people did not believe in the protocol, and some of them inadvertently might not follow the social distancing protocol, so to say. So, so summing up the scenario right here, this video on p-values, we discussed this example of a village which received a social distancing protocol, and now some of the villagers did not like or approve the SDP, and subsequently may not follow the the social distancing protocol, or what we call SDP. Okay, now this gives rise to two scenarios. Okay, the first scenario is the when we say villagers, we mean each and every one of them should follow or not follow the social distancing protocol. So villagers uh, followed the SDP, and second is villagers did not follow the SDP. Okay. Now, similar to the previous example, in this example also two scenarios emerge based on the two conditions, and there are two types of odds that emerge. First is the odds of what are the odds? What are the odds of the village remaining corona free, given that the villagers followed the SDP? And when we say followed the SDP means entirely. I mean, all the villagers were supposed to follow the SDP. Versus the odds of the village remaining corona free, given that the villagers did not follow the SDP. Okay, right here, just as in the previous example, we have two sets of odds. Okay, two sets of odds. Let me highlight this for you as well. Two sets of odds. One set of odds is the odds of village remaining corona free, uh, given the condition that the villagers followed the SDP, and another set of odds is when uh, the village remains corona free, given that the villagers did not follow the SDP. So these are the two sets of odds right here, and there is an event. Okay, and what is the event we are looking at? That the village remains corona free. That's the event. Okay, the village remains corona free. That's the success event, we can say. And what is on the flip side? The failure event. The failure event is village does not remain corona free. So when we say the odds of the village remaining corona free, it means the chances of the village remaining corona free versus the village not remaining corona free. Okay, so these are the odds, but we are considering these odds in two different conditions, and this makes the odds different for those two different conditions. So what are the two different conditions? The two different conditions are the two different scenarios, and the two different scenarios, one is villagers followed the SDP, and second is the villagers did not follow the SDP. Okay, so that's about it for this particular video. Like I said, we'll try and cover as much as possible in this video and the remaining stuff in the subsequent videos. So we've kind of, basically, we've, let's see how much we've covered. Oh, we've come just this far. We've covered the introduction and the introductory examples, so to say, as compared to the entire stuff. But herein we have covered some very basic and fundamental concepts of odds ratios. We've talked about odds. We've talked about the associated concept or the underlying concept of probability. We've touched upon it, and we have given you a real good feel of the concept, how they work, how the odds ratios concept works through these two very beautiful and introductory examples. And in the next video, we'll definitely start with the background and the associated concepts. And of course, we'll cover the rest of the stuff. Uh, we will try and cover as much as in this next video and the rest of the stuff in the subsequent videos. Um, so that's about it for this particular video. So if you really liked this video, do not forget to give it a thumbs up. If you think this video can benefit somebody else or one of your friends, do share it. Also, if you would like to see more such videos and get notifications, do not forget to subscribe my channel and do not forget to press the bell icon. So thanks again for watching. Till the next time, take care and bye-bye.